living life with a glimmer of hope that something you've been wanting for months and even years is right in front of you. With every fiber of your being, you take action to try to turn hope into reality. However, sometimes when hope faces reality, it ends in, I can't go out with you.
The silhouette's burning, embers rising high, like a chemical fire, the flame won't die.
Picking up the pieces from a flat-out denial from a guy that you admired and still love is devastating. Running away, Hina has no choice but to vent out her frustrations in the middle of the night, and so the mourning phase of being denied begins. This is the season finale of Blue Box Season 1, Episode 25, Sore Demo. This episode covers manga chapters 77 through 80 and does some things a little bit out of order and just omits just a little bit to save for the next season. There is a lot of mixed emotions, especially after something so significant as Hina being denied. So this episode did a great job at its adaptation, the setup for what is to come with Taiki and Chinatsu. On the road to recovery, getting over something that has been imprinted within your heart is something we all experience at some point in our lives. Hina is in that right now with Ayame, looking on to see how she can support her friend. Instantly, Ayame realized she done messed up bad. Not only in the previous episode, she was confronted bluntly by the four-eyed bestie about her inexperienced take on long-term relationships. She finally realized what her outside meddling can result in. This is the first time she is experiencing someone weeping from being this devastated, from a heart being broken. As much as this moment was about Hina's grieving, this continues the arc of Ayame, of her self-realization, building some self-awareness, building some redeeming qualities that she hasn't quite showed yet. What's important about this moment is the fact that Ayame goes over what she wants to say to Hina to make her feel better. The thing is, she's never been this in love with a person the way Hina is with Taiki. She cannot relate, so everything that she can think of to tell Hina is something she would tell herself if she was in Hina's position. Ayame realizes that she isn't Hina, and Hina isn't her. It's important to distinguish this difference because Ayame's character at this point was all about her know-it-all hubris of how she handles romance. What Ayame does next is what a truly good friend would do, and she takes out a bunch of tissues in front of Hina and just be there for Hina to grieve, to find some ways to just lighten the mood. When no words seem optimal and you can't relate, just be there. Ayame asks the weeping Hina that she really does love him, huh? Clearly, she looks at herself and thinks if anyone has loved her as much as Hina loved Taiki, and that answer is clearly no. What Ayame is figuring out now is very, very important for her character arc. She is jealous that a person can love another person this much. I kind of made a community post that when one waifu falls, another waifu rises. Hina just lost the main purpose for why we watch her character and cheer for her. Many of us want her to win. We want her to get her way, but she doesn't. So now she's going to be a side character for the time being. She has to go through this arc of mourning, grieving, like she legitimately just lost someone. So it really does set up a character like Ayame to be in the forefront. She's going through all these things herself now as well, in terms of how she sees romance and what she wants for herself in a relationship. Characters like Karen are kind of boring because she's already perfect with a perfect boyfriend, and they're living in like an ideal situation, which is essentially what Taiki aspires to be with Chinatsu. And so for Ayame, a person that we can all see her flaws, also shows that she can be a very likable character in the fact that she can be empathetic, she can be understanding, and she can understand that she has her own flaws. So for the new purpose of Hina's character is to essentially get over Taiki. So that essentially makes Hina's character a character that's going to be away from anything that's going to be Taiki and Chinatsu related. So Ayame is primed to be the secondary plot after Chinatsu and Taiki. It's a new day and a beginning of a new outlook. Taiki points out something subtle about Kyo's bag being cute, but Kyo quickly points out that it's his little sister's. Can you guys feel the subtle developing of the four-eyed bestie's character? It's the responsible big brother that takes care of his little siblings. It's happening now. With Taiki noticing Hina after a tear-jerking, heartbreaking moment, a shonen must shonen on. It takes a quick glance at his potential prize. Taiki feels resolute and firm about his decision to turn down Hina because it was the right thing to do, rather than continue to lead her on when she essentially had the slimmest of slim shots with him. As much as Chinatsu means for Taiki's romance and continued personal growth, Kengo Haryu is the senpai that means the most for Taiki's badminton growth, and he has finally asked Taiki for a match. After Haryu got humbled by Yusa, he knew he had to improve and work even harder, especially after giving up so much of his energy to see his Kohai fly. With training camp almost over, it's time for Senpai to show Kohai how much he has improved. On the way up to wake up Captain Nishida, Kyo notices a guilty Ayame, depressed in the corner, like the hunchback of matchmaking sins. Yikes! Kyo asks what's wrong with her, but she tries to tell the four-eyed bestie off. What she doesn't really realize is that nothing gets past two pairs of eyes, as he has already predicted that the shonen trope of 3 would eventually end up like this. Yikes again. Ayame is surprised that Kyo already knew about Taiki and Hina, given that their behavior is gloomy and off. We guard ourselves a mishmash of scenes of Haryu whipping up on his Kohai, Hina leaving training camp with the rhythmic gymnastic team, while Kyo discusses his bestie's love life with Ayame's regretful interference. Ayame getting all this information from rumors and her fibbing older sister. She didn't realize Inota had someone he liked. Still, she couldn't believe that a girl like Hina, who loves him this much and got along so well with him as friends, that it even created rumors, couldn't reciprocate. Kyo has to put this misguided girl back in her place. Once again, being friends and being romantic partners are two totally separate things. Kyo does kind of agree with Ayame on the point that Taiki and Hina seemed happier as friends. He continues to tell her in a frank and blunt tone that Taiki does the chasing and it really is his first time being pursued, and that ultimately they, on the outside, can't do anything about it. They are, on the outside, looking in. What's done is done, and whatever decision Taiki makes is his to make. After getting ahead of Taiki, Haryu is now up 13-6. Taiki realizes that self-improving never stops, and that while being Shuji was an important checkpoint, it isn't the end. Out! Taiki gets humbled once again and wants a rematch. However, Haryu is tired because of the last day of training camp and shows his Kohai that he's human too. Getting defeated by both Hyodo and Yusa, followed by a potential loss to Taiki, would have broken him. It's interesting to see from Taiki's point of view, of someone that he has admired and looked up to, that helped him so much, be this vulnerable and afraid of him. Interestingly enough, his feelings draw some parallels to a certain pink-haired romantic hopeful. It was Haru's pride being ripped apart like the prince of all Saiyans. But in this case, it's more like a third wheel romantic partner realizing that she has to accept the results and move on. It's that moving on and facing adversity head on that is true strength. Taiki feels the pain of his loss, but Haru tries to cheer him back up, that he is strong. It's a vicious cycle of trying to stay on your A game and improving on top of that. With that being said, it's time to move on from this dreadful training camp. So our MC moves quickly as Taiki and Chinatsu arrive right outside their home, and he asks her out to go somewhere. And Chinatsu is totally like, so where? Our MC is so mid that he forgot to think about what to say and do past the midway point. Tracksuit shopping? Taiki tells her that he wants to replace his messed up tracksuit from training camp. He unnecessarily overthinks this entire situation because when there is a plant that has been planting and growing all this time, it doesn't really matter where because she already kind of likes him. Chinatsu simply agrees and wants to go see a particular cafe as well.
Next Saturday? Next Saturday!
And just like that, we got a big date. It's almost like Chinatsu was way more prepared to ask Taiki on a date than he was. Our MC is in bed with his hands out in the open where we can see them to show Chinatsu finally that he is a man. It's about time you
Hinachi.
You know how you get over someone? Hanging out with the boys. In this case, hanging out with Ayame, who partially feels responsible and also just being a good upbeat friend that knows how to have fun. As this is a good Ayame quality, she takes Hina out on a girl date. They play some games like air hockey, the crane game, and take those photo booth pictures. This is one of those scenes where the anime does some things out of order, but chronologically it still makes a lot of sense. It also becomes a thing of how they want to deliver certain emotions of what the scene is going to bring us. So this ends up being a scene that builds upon the Ayame and Hina relationship, and they learn a lot of things about each other, which in turn, we start to learn some things about them as well. Ayame's ex shows up and tries to belittle her for their breakup. Remember that drink ordering incident that led to her breaking up with him? It turns out he's awkward, but she didn't realize that he was a total douche. The ex goes on to try to say that she needs to be more like her older sister, but Hina steps in to defend her friend, who was there when she was at her lowest low.
You're just a scummy ex.
That's poo-pooing on her to make yourself feel better from all the time you spent liking her, and that he's totally misjudging Ayame's character. This hits too close to home for Hina, and the tears start to flow. Ayame sees her friend in emotional danger and quickly takes her and runs away, threatening her ex to expose his weirdo selfie account. As we continue this Ayame arc, I think more and more people are gonna realize that they're a lot more like Ayame than they are like Chinatsu or Hina. Hina tries to apologize, but Ayame tells her that she didn't do anything wrong. It's a new day, and Hina runs into Taiki, but Ayame runs into Hinota. As Hina runs away, Ayame tells him how sad Hina was as she was crying in pain. She also continues to show how much she doesn't quite understand this situation as well as she thinks, as Taiki tells her that he knows how badly Hina feels. It's just not an easy situation where he can just tell her to be friends again and act like nothing happened. This is his way of looking out for her, his friend, his close friend. Ayame realizes that Hinota cares for her, but she still can't understand the rejection compared to a person like her that would have just test drove it. And so she asks Taiki, does the person he really like that? It's a weird question for Taiki to answer because we all know Hina is like that, just not for Taiki. Ayame runs into Kyo once again. They are like sworn enemies at this point. She knows that she's putting her nose in places she shouldn't, but she can't help but be there for her friend in need. And so Kyo, instead of an eye for 4 eyes, take this finger! A girl that is going to do what she do and not give a damn what someone thinks as she speaks her mind, just met her match against a guy that be saying what he be saying because it needs to be said. Like what she told Taiki before, she's not going to care about what people think But she gets thrown off because Kyo agrees with her. Having someone to tell it like it is not a bad thing. What Ayame did to Hina actually helped her out for the better. Even though Ayame meddled in Hina and Taiki's situation, it was still up to them to finally face their feelings up front. Ayame feels somehow patronized by Kyo, as she has certainly met her match, and it's the fact that he's accepting her for who she is, something that her ex certainly did not do. This episode is really setting up a lot of things for Kyo as well. A lot of things that he says will come up again for him. Even the little things, like his siblings and like his previous relationship. Hina is absolutely depressed being in the same place with the guy you like and the girl he actually likes. It's that time. The boys have a hunch that our MC is getting ready for a hot date. Leave it up to Four Eyes to semi-confirm and leave it to the proud senpai feeling like his kohai is finally ready to spread his wings like he knew he could. And just like the date at the aquarium, your boy is running late and scrambling like it's his first time again. There she is, the girl with the bob hair flowing so majestically in the air as she looks at the clouds moving so fast. Excuse me, ma'am, you mean not moving fast enough? Considering that the anime had 25 episodes to work with and already reading the manga, this was a great final episode and it ended the best way it could. The only real thing that the anime kinda omitted was just some subtle moments with Matsuoka, as that clearly sets up like a future arc, maybe the future date, that he kinda becomes a little bit of this NTR antagonist that we all wanna punch in the face. Other than that, the anime did a great adaptation of the manga. Things were kind of out of order, but chronologically for the most part it did make sense. The only real difference would be that it would be more of a herky-jerk, make us feel one emotion from one side of depression all the way to something of being a little bit more hopeful. Either way, it was fine. It was great actually. And I think you guys know who I want to talk about. And it's this bird! We get the whole Moria Ayame roller coaster this episode. She has her faults, but she has her redeeming qualities as well. She does her best to help out her friend Hina. And because of how Hina reacted, it makes her realize some things about herself. She isn't Hina and Hina isn't her. So they would totally handle this grieving moment in a totally different way. And it also sets up the big picture for her life. Her character, that even though she's going through all these flings, she's dated a lot of people, she too wants to feel deep love. And I wonder who that person might end up being. And she also comes to realize that she doesn't give a flying bird about what people think of her and how she deals with things. She accepts who she is and she understands what her flaws are. And she feels like she's a good judge of character of her own self as well. That she isn't technically in the wrong of the things that she's done. But she does realize that romance, how she handles it, it might be a little bit different for her now. Maybe it won't. Hina basically pointed out to Ayame's ex that he is misjudging Ayame. So that's telling us in the story that who she is perfectly fine. Sure, do we prefer generally a girl like Karen? Yes, but Ayame isn't a bad person at all. She's just a different kind of animal. She's still empathetic, she's still caring, she's a good friend, and most importantly, she can look at herself in the mirror and make a good judgment for if she's doing the right thing or not. We didn't really expect Ayame to think, to do, to be this supportive and understanding like she is. It's this characteristic about Ayame that she can self-reflect and that she can understand that people have other perspectives. And it's the fact that Ayame can accept that other people have different perspectives. Although she was misguided, it's that I don't give a part of her personality that matters too. You need people like that. Kyo is like that kind of for Taiki, and Ayame is kind of like that right now for Hina and herself. Like I mentioned earlier, I think a lot more people are going to see themselves more like Ayame, than characters like Hina and Chinatsu, who represent characters that are almost perfect. So 2 heroines with no major or fatal flaws versus a character that has flaws, make mistakes, but can grow in her own way. It's clearer now, and I think it's safe to say that there's clearly a relationship and bond growing between Kyo and Ayame. So Hina's position literally makes her go away. When you have to get over someone, you kinda do have to go away. So that makes characters like Kyo and Ayame become characters that are gonna be in the forefront and be these secondary kind of plots. And at this point for Chinatsu and Taiki, they are finally doing the thing that we are expecting them to do. It's almost mandatory for their characters to eventually do this, like ask each other out on dates. I like talking about characters like Kyo and Ayame because they are the true wildcards. They bring something new and fresh to the story. Sometimes we are in Taiki and Chinatsu's position, but a lot of the time we are in Kyo and Ayame's position from the outside, looking in. So Taiki and Chinatsu doing anything out of our expectation of asking each other out, it would be really annoying, except if they want to add in an antagonist somewhere to mess things up. So in season 2, badminton shonen and hooper heroine will finally be one step closer of doing the thing that we want them to do and becoming the thing that we want them to be. And so for next season, expect some more new characters, expect Matsuoka to do something. And yeah, whenever that does come around, I'm not too sure if I will be covering each episode like I have been, but it's something I do want to make videos for at some point. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about the entire season of Blue Box. I would love to know. And do me a favor guys, hit the like button if you can self-reflect, and subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Check out my blog at otakusen.com. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.